2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your Wednesday, middle of the week. Greatest day of the entire week, my friends, as you see the light at the end of the tunnel. At the same time, we are just going to carpe diem all over this place. There is plenty to talk about, man. My head is spinning. There's no way we're going to get to all of it today, but we will do our darndest. We had multiple different committee hearings today. One of them with Tulsi Gabbard, the Director for National Intelligence. She was there talking about some of the national security issues. Interesting perspective from her on the issue and conflict with Iran that I think might help some of those that are on the fence on whether this is a good conflict or not to get on board. We have that one. We also had day number 1 for the Department of Homeland Security Secretary and candidate Mark Wayne Mullen with his hearing. Talk about Drama Fest. So we'll get to some of that here in just a minute as well. Plus, there is the still ongoing long-term marathon debate filibuster going on in the Senate for the SAVE Act that is happening. And Senator John Kennedy, one of the more entertaining characters, is up there speaking as we speak right now. So we may jump to that in a little bit and get the latest. But first and foremost, welcome into it. It is a Wednesday, right? Oh, come on, where's my thing?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
There it is. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Broadcasting right here in the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country with so many great radio affiliates doing our thing.
Do it live!
Like we do every single day here on the program. Bottom of the hour, we have Jim Pfaff on the show. He's with the Conservative Caucus, theconservativecaucus.com. We'll chat with him about what the latest is on the campaign trail and some of these major events that are happening right now with the DHS Secretary hearing and with the Iranian issue and the SAVE Act and so much more. Department of Homeland Security funding. There was going to be a bill voted on today, but that got punted because of the marathon debate for the SAVE Act. So we'll see where we stand on that one. But along with all of that going on, there's also a vote happening right now in the House of Representatives, and that's where we're going to go to right now with our next guest on the program right out of the gate.
Let's go to the Hooser Media Hotline.
That's right. Really happy to have on the program. It's we love getting him on as well as we talk a lot of budgetary issues with our friends and partners over at Americans for Prosperity, americansprosperity.org. Right now, there is a balanced budget amendment that is being voted on in the House of Representatives, and that one being tossed up there on the House floor by Representative Andy Biggs. Will we see that happen? Could we finally work towards a balanced budget at the federal level? Happy to have that have on the program with us here to talk about some of that and more. Good friend of ours here, Kurt Couchman. Kurt, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Andy, I am so excited to be back with you and also so excited to have this balanced budget amendment on the House floor today.
Yeah, how nice is that? We have a lot of multitasking going on in Congress. It's nice to see some activity going on right now, and I'm glad that we're finally seeing a vote on a balanced budget amendment. Now, that's going to be a difficult thing because many people don't want a balanced budget or think it somehow, caps their socialist free goodies like an Oprah Winfrey show or something. But by golly, at least we're trying to talk about it. What do you expect coming out of this vote?
Well, we'll have to see how the votes come down. I expect a good showing from Republicans, probably unanimous or pretty close to it. And then Democrats are the mystery. This is, in some ways, a much better balanced budget amendment proposal than anything Congress has ever voted on before. And the reason for that is because previous versions would have all required annual balance, so that spending and revenue would have to be the same every year. But revenue bounces around so much, that's actually a crazy thing to do. But what this one does is says that spending and revenue will balance over the medium term. We could talk about the mechanics if you want, but that means that your policies on both the spending and the revenue side can be so much more stable and predictable.
Yeah. Let's go down that road and let's go into the weeds just a little bit and see what that looks like, because we've heard before that we've capped our spending compared to GDP levels and, the amount of growth there compared to what we can actually spend at the federal level. Obviously, we're sitting at over $38 trillion in a federal debt, and according to some outlooks, they say by, 2040 or something, 2050, that we're going to have close to a $90+ trillion national debt in this nation. Kerr, you know as much as I do that is completely unsustainable. We cannot handle that. So what would this bill specifically do?
It's a proposed constitutional amendment, and that takes 2/3 of both the House and the Senate to approve. And then it goes to state legislatures, and then once 3/4 of state legislatures have approved it, then it becomes ratified and an operative part of the Constitution. Now, constitutional language can't answer all the questions. We would need Congress to come back and fill in some of the details with passing regular laws. But the basic idea is that, like we were talking about, that spending and revenue would balance over the medium term.
Yeah.
And then for emergencies, there would be 2/3 of both houses of Congress could provide for them. There would be 5 years to get to balance, and that balance could be full balance, which includes everything, or primary balance, which doesn't include interest. It takes about half as much deficit reduction to do that. And then there's a couple of other provisions in there. But one thing that's notable is, for its absence, there's no attempt to put the president's budget request in the Constitution. There could be some risks to balance of powers with that. There's no trying to put the statutory debt limit or anything else that's, in regular law into the Constitution. And so those are very good things, along with some other stuff.
That's pretty awesome. I know that this has obviously been in the works for a while, but to allow the states to get involved in this as well, that's going to be a daunting task, along with trying to get it out of Congress in the first place. Are you optimistic that we could actually see states get on board and try to push this? I know that, this is kind of what the Convention of States movement has tried to do for a while with a balanced budget and capping some of the federal spending. So I think that states that have jumped on board with the Convention of States movement might want to do this as well. But that's an interesting take to actually bring that down to state legislatures.
Yeah, that's just how the Constitution works. Of the 27 amendments, 26 have been ratified by state legislatures. The only one that went to state conventions was repealing prohibition in the 30s. And so we know how this is done. But you're right that there is something related to Convention of States, because that is the other way that amendments could get proposed. Chairman Jody Arrington of the House Budget Committee went down on the floor and talked about wanting to see that happen. That's never happened. Most people don't have a clear sense as to how that could work. Conventions were fairly common in the period leading up to the Constitution being written, but we've forgotten how that all worked then. So it's kind of scary to a lot of people. We still think that Congress can fix itself, and we're hoping that can happen. But if a Convention of States happens too, then we will engage and try to help people understand the trade-offs and the best way to design these things so that they can pass and restore fiscal democracy in America and sound budgeting and all that good stuff.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Attack it from both angles. Why the heck not, and see who gets to the middle first, which I think would be a solid approach on this one. We're hanging out with Kurt Couchman. He's the Fiscal Policy Director for our friends over at Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org. Let's talk about the spending based on GDP. It used to be, like 3%, and then it went up to 8 18%. Now we're spending a lot more than what the GDP actually creates each year right now. As we talk about balancing the budget and trying to trim out some of the wasteful spending and all the social programs that are bankrupting the country, is there any chance, any opportunity that we can go back and at least cap and say you're not allowed to spend more than what the percentage of GDP is right now to kind of keep us somewhat at bay?
Some balanced budget amendment proposals have included a provision along those lines. The thing is that Democrats won't go for that. And to get to 2/3, you basically need all Republicans and at least a third of the Democrats to agree to it. So, you're trying to get the best possible policy, but you have to be really realistic and clear-eyed about what can actually get the votes. So that's kind of the tightrope that we have to walk with this stuff. Now, from a policy perspective, the federal government is way too big. It spends too much. It's wasteful. There's fraud. I mean, we could just go down the line and find all kinds of savings to be had. But ultimately, Congress is going to have to sort this out like one deal at a time.
Yeah, that is very true. Let's say we pass this. God forbid that Democrats, don't put up too much of a fight. We actually go along with this. That's going to be a challenge, especially in the Senate right now. But let's just say that we can get something like this through. What would working towards the process of balancing the budget actually look like? Because right now we're spending close to $7 trillion a year. We bring in $4.5 to $5 trillion in tax revenue, which we were kind of sort of close to a balanced budget prior to COVID, even though we were still spending above our means then. But then we jumped up that $2 trillion additionally during the COVID pandemic, have not come back down yet. If we had to start trimming things out to actually work towards that balanced budget, in your mind, what do you think would be trimmed off the docket and what would be allowed to be cut at that point?
Yeah, I mean, first you start with having a real budget with all spending, all revenue, all the tax expenditures. Like tax expenditures alone, the tax credits and special deductions and whatever, like when you define that appropriately, it's over $1 trillion a year. So just eliminating all of those would, get rid of the primary deficit, so non-interest borrowing. But you actually don't want to do that. You want to bring down tax rates when you're doing that. But there are so many savings to be had. We've seen there's a lot of fraud in welfare. There's no question about that. Health experts across the political spectrum think that about 1/3 of healthcare spending in this country does not provide measurable benefits for patients. So there's some opportunities there. Social Security and Medicare, nobody wants to talk about them, but the fact is that people who have had high lifetime earnings or who have really high net worth now are getting the highest Social Security benefits. And the people that have had, a tougher lifetime in terms of earnings or haven't been able to save as much get the lowest benefits. And so if you're trying to keep seniors out of poverty, this program has a lot of potential for doing a better job of that at much lower cost. Because the alternative is just jacking up taxes on working Americans, many of whom have families and are trying to raise kids and save for their own retirement. So all of these things will have to be on the table. And I think that when Congress actually has to start deciding do this or do that, it's going to be reducing the stuff that is the lowest value, because that's how politics works, and preserving the things that provide the best value for Americans.
Well, and they're going to throw a fit about it, right? I mean, we've already gone down this road many times before, especially with that mandatory spending category, those social programs that you just mentioned, which you're right, 80% of the entire federal budget comes out of those. And even just slowing the growth of them, they lose their minds and they think that people are going to die in the streets because we're only growing at 2% instead of a 6%. So that's a 4% cut, and that's going to leave every person and every sick person and elderly person in the nation dying under bridges in this nation. That's the rhetoric that we get, and when they're forced to actually deal with that stuff, they're not going to like it and take it very lightly.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard Democrats, even friends of mine that are Democrats, work on Capitol Hill, just think that what happened in the reconciliation bill for program integrity and anti-fraud measures was like the worst thing ever. And it's like, no. This is preserving these programs for the people that actually need them.
Right.
So, I mean, why shouldn't we do more of that?
It's a great question. Do you think, again, I'm 37, I'm a millennial. Is my generation going to receive Social Security? Because we keep hearing that we're not going to. It's going to run out of funds in the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, so the trust fund will run out of funds, and then the existing beneficiaries, so my parents and probably yours, will face immediate cuts to the benefits of about 24% at that time.
Wow.
If it's applied across the board, which for people with lower incomes or lower Social Security benefits, that's a pretty big deal. But there have been a couple of different articles suggesting that at that time, when the trust fund runs out of money, the president would be able to reduce benefits for those with higher lifetime earnings or higher net worth, so that the people that don't have alternative sources of paying for stuff to be able to continue and not be impacted by that at least as much. It's an interesting legal theory. It's untested. Hopefully Congress can get ahead of this and provide people certainty. But I guess if we wait until 2032, it's only 6 years away now, then we could find out whether the courts will let the president just do that.
You know what? We are not ones to actually plan ahead of time, so I guess the procrastination is going to be a social experiment for all of us. It's going to be interesting to see. Kurt Couchman, Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org. It's great to talk to you, my friend. I love seeing the vote in the House. Got to get you back on for another update soon.
Sounds great. The vote should be in the next 10 or 15 minutes.
And we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll watch it as it happens. Kurt, we appreciate it very much. Thanks for coming on the show, brother, and we'll get you back on again soon. Got to take a break. Lots more coming up for The Voice Reason on your Wednesday. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON. As you know, I'm always looking for a good snack, but it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives. But now that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. I promise you'll be addicted. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome back into it. Great to have you today for your midweek celebration here on the Voice of Reason. By the way, I want to thank you. We have seen a major jump up in podcast downloads lately. We appreciate that very much. We are, just to put this into perspective, last year we did very well. We beat our record last year for total downloads for 2025. Already this year, and we're not even through the end of the first quarter, we are already at the halfway point of total downloads from last year. So we've already hit the halfway number of downloads in the first quarter of 2026. So that's because of you. We thank you for that. That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Well done. The fact that you want to listen to me so much, I don't know, that's kind of weird, but we appreciate that very much. You can find the links on our website, HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com, and for the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites, whatever platform that you use, by just typing in the name of the full show, which is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. All right, thanks to Kurt Couchman coming on the program with our friends over at Americans for Prosperity. That vote happening soon in the House of Representatives for a balanced budget amendment. My prediction, it might be able to squeak through the House, although it's very difficult because even many Republicans don't like voting for balanced budgets in there. So it's going to be a difficult one in the House for sure. More than unlikely, it'll get through the Senate as well because, again, we have some really big government spending Republicans that still need to be weeded out and exposed within our party. But you know what? I'm glad that we're putting it on the record for people to see exactly what the heck's going on. That being said,
what's trending today?
I don't even know where to go right now because we have a live SAVE Act filibuster vocal debate going on in the Senate. We have hearings, three different hearings that were going on today. Kash Patel, FBI director, he was giving an update on some of the great wins he had. Tulsi Gabbard, director of national intelligence, she was speaking earlier today in a committee hearing as well on her update with national security issues. She released a really important piece of information that we'll try to get to in a bit. But I want to go here for just a moment. The Secretary for Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, recently vacating that one to go handle global issues in our hemisphere, which I think is an upgrade. And Markwayne Mullin, former House member, former senator from the state of Oklahoma, is now being confirmed on that one, or at least appointed or requested by President Donald Trump. And I was not aware, but apparently there's a really bad beef between him and Senator Rand Paul. And that was showcased in the committee hearing today that's chaired by Senator Rand Paul, and they apparently do not like each other, and that caused a lot of drama in the Senate today.
Do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
Okay. First off, we have to set this. This is the audio clip that was being played by Rand Paul because he wanted to try and make him mad. This was the clip of Markwayne Mullin wanting to throw down with the Teamsters president a little while back, saying that they had taken some shots at each other on social media, and we're going to stand up, we're going to fight right now, right in the committee hearing. It was hilarious. I thought it was funny. And Markwayne Mullin being, by the way, a former MMA fighter, so you could see where that one turned out. But Rand Paul was playing that video to try and take a knock on Markwayne Mullin.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
Oh,
guy.
stop it.
Is that your solution every poll?
No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You're a United States Senator.
Do you think?
Okay, so that was the audio clip that they played in the hearing, and then Rand Paul jumps in.
Do you think fighting as a resolution for political differences is a good example for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol?
As you can notice over my shoulder here is my good friend Sean O'Brien. Both of us have had conversations. Both of us have shaken hands. And both of us agreed we could have done things different. Sean is someone that has become a close friend. We talk all the time. I've been on his podcast. We've talked through this. That's how you handle your differences. Not like this, Chairman.
Boom. So, I don't know, back and forth here. Here's what I wish. If we would stop infighting and doing this personal bickering back and forth. I agree ideologically with Rand Paul. I'm a big fan of him on many issues. I wish he was more productive in being able to win more people over on his ideological purism instead of just running off the cliff with his flag held high and voting with Democrats a majority of the time. But what he stands for majoritively, I agree with. Markwayne Mullin, also a solid, for the most part, conservative, who comes from a completely different environment in the state of Oklahoma, and is a guy who's not afraid to throw down and call it out the way it is. Just two personalities clashing, and can we please get over that so we can unite as a Republican Party and get things done, please? That would be great. Thanks.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
truth, reason, and common sense. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I didn't know the extent of your damage. When the phone call was made, I made it to you and I tried to talk to you. You didn't engage at all. In fact, you said, get your paperwork in. It's got to be at 3 days in between.
You offered no apology.
Sir?
And you offer no apology today and no regrets. Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually, it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good. So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it. There's a difference.
So that means you really didn't approve of it, just completely understand it. What do you think most people would interpret completely understand to be? Support for or a condemnation of the violence?
Sir, as I said, we can have our differences. It's not going to keep me from doing my job as Secretary of Homeland Security. I'm going to secure Kentucky and take care of Kentucky as much as I am Oklahoma.
If this were a one-off, it would be one thing. If you just disliked me so much that you approved of violence against me, people could just write it off. Well, maybe they hate each other. But really, there's a pattern of this.
All right, so Senator Rand Paul is the chair of that committee as they were doing the DHS Secretary hearings today. Markwayne Mullin, former House member, former senator from the state of Oklahoma, now going there. And apparently some big beef between the two of Markwayne Mullin and Senator Rand Paul. Can we just get, I feel like a hippie right now. Can we just get along, please? I mean, come on. We have the same movement. We're going in the same direction here. Republicans, conservatives. Can we get over the personal bickering? But apparently that's too much for, I like both of them. Rand Paul, who's more on the ideological side. I think he runs off the cliff with his flag held high too many times in purism instead of trying to win people over to support what he's doing. And he ends up voting with Democrats more often than not, just for different reasons. And then Markwayne Mullin, that just, he has no problem saying whatever's on his mind, including calling people out to go and fight. But the bickering among the Republican Party, man, absolutely insane. Let's talk about it with that and so much more going on right now.
Let's go to the Hoosier Media Hotline.
That's right. Happy to have on the program our friends over at the Conservative Caucus, theconservativecaucus.com. You can check out all their great information. The man himself, Mr. Jim Pfaff. Jim, how are you, my friend?
Good, and to be on the Hoosier hotline is, appropriate with me being a native Hoosier. So
that's right. That's right. The native Hoosiers, we're uniting, getting together here. Jim, this is crazy to watch this happen, and I'm excited to hopefully see Markwayne Mullin become DHS Secretary. I thought Kristi Noem did a fantastic job. Now, I don't see it as a firing, more of a promotion to where she's handling the shield of Americas and organized crime around the entire hemisphere. I find that kind of awesome, and Democrats are angry about that. But this beef that Markwayne Mullin and then, of course, the chair of this committee now with Rand Paul, this is causing unnecessary drama and division among the conservative movement, isn't it?
Well, yes, but this is some of the things that happen in politics. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to slightly disagree with you on Markwayne Mullin. I think he's going to be a great spokesperson. I think he's going to do what the president asks him to do, and it's the president's policy that I want to move forward. But I have to be honest with you, working on the Hill, Markwayne Mullin rubs against people on the Hill. Now, he's generally respected in some ways, but I had a former congressman talking to me about this last week and say, yeah, he seems all nice in public, but I remember all the ways that he had a big temper with me in the past. So that's probably what's happening with, it is what's happening with Rand. And it's very personal for Rand. Like, he was literally assaulted in his yard. And I know Rand, and I worked for a Kentucky congressman. That's really sensitive to him. Now, in terms of airing all this stuff out amongst the, in the conservative side of things, I think we have got a really bad problem with that right now. Yes. And this one is not the worst one. This happens in hearings, and so that's, it's something, and it's important. The bigger thing is the podcast wars, as they're now being called, that are taking place. And this is a very, very corrosive problem that we've got in the movement right now and is not helping us going into November. It was our strength going into November 2024. It's our weakness leading into November of 2026, or one of them.
No, you're absolutely right, and I'm glad you went there because we are seeing a major divide on that front. Here's we see polls that happen, for example, like the Iranian support or the Iranian conflict, and according to CNN, out of all places, CNN shows that according to MAGA Republicans out there, that over 90% of them support the ongoing issue in the conflict with Iran. And then we hear from, like you said, this podcasting war where some say that we're driven and controlled by Israel and that Benjamin Netanyahu's pulling the strings and that this is nothing more than us being puppets to this nation of Israel. And we're seeing this really weird dynamic play out within the party, and it's not helping us unite going into this midterm election.
No, it's not, and it is really odd to me, the disgust over Israel. Now, by the way, you can be on various levels of support for Israel. I'm not on the Christian Zionist, it's God's people and they have a right to the land stuff. I'm more on they have a right to the land because they have defended it and defended it well, and as any other nation, they ought to be able to be there. And I have an interest in the Israeli people just because I'm a Christian and I read the Bible and I know God's promises to them generally. But
they're an ally in the area. I mean, they're an ally in the region. Even if you, like you said, if it's not a religious reason, that's an asset to have in that region.
And that's why the spectrum I just described, I mean, you could be anywhere there. The problem that we're having is we have people outside of that spectrum that are really attacking Israel, like they're pulling our noses and Donald Trump's nose and things, and they are a corrosive factor in the region. They're anything but that. They're not perfect. They're human beings like the rest of us, and they make mistakes, and there are problems, and we want to be able to point those out and feel free to do, but that's not what's happening. It is a far worse problem right now. I'm shocked how bad it's gotten, and it really needs to stop because, you know, you can have some disagreements about the war. I'm always concerned about war. I'm not a big let's keep throwing our military all over the world type person. I think the MAGA movement's that way. But they trust Donald Trump not to be running this into the ground. Yeah. Let's just, you know, and be critical, have your criticisms, but quit causing this division. It is a nightmare how people are really either sounding anti-Semitic. We've got a few people that really are anti-Semitic, like the Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes of the world. I'm not convinced Tucker and Megan are anti-Semitic, but they are harsh on this. I don't know how helpful it is or what we're learning from it. Right. I'm not learning anything from it, and I'm a policy wonk in this area.
Yeah, no, it's really unfortunate, and we don't want to see that divide continue on. Hopefully we can get our you-know-what together as we go closer into the midterm season, but, you know, we always pride ourselves on being wicked, wild, free thinkers as conservatives and, you know, conservatarians, even with some libertarians that are in there. I get it, and we applaud ourselves for that, but at the same time, like, come on, man, we got to know when the line is in order for us to get together here. Let's shift gears a little bit to the SAVE Act. Right now, as we speak, we still see what they're calling the marathon debate session in the U.S. Senate after being forced onto the floor right now for the SAVE Act debate. It's been going on for about 24 hours now because it started about the same time yesterday when we covered it. Senator John Kennedy is on the floor right now talking, but I mean, we're going to go and see how long this lasts. What's the outcome on this? Will we actually get enough votes, or will we force the filibuster to expose the other side to not vote for voter ID that 80% of Americans support?
Well, I'll tell you what, the way that this is working with John Thune out there trying to give a so-called reality check that we're never going to get past the 60-vote threshold, which I'm just going to call him out. It's a lie. Like, we might not get past that, but if you're not willing to do it, but we hear the term talking filibuster, and that's accurate in terms of trying to clarify some things for people, but it's actually a misnomer because the talking filibuster is the filibuster. Like, that's been around since 1806.
Right.
So he's not, he and many Republicans in the Senate caucus are not willing to do the work to get this really existential legislation passed. Like, what, you know, Democrats are out there saying all the people are going to be harmed and Chuck Schumer, Jim Crow 2.0. That's bullcrap. What this bill does is take us back to the election system that, minus a few problems in the South that we corrected with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, made us the best system for elections and voting in the world for 230 years. It's only the last 20 years of Democrats mostly changing these things through courts to turn this election system into a third world system with unsolicited mail ballots and vote gathering and all the things that you can do to take away custody, that are electioneering at the wrong time. I mean, these are things that Democrats have done to make Americans not feel that our elections are right. 80% of Americans support substantively what's in this bill, and John Thune is really fighting to not make it happen. He doesn't want to fight to make it happen. He's fighting to make it not happen because he's resisting the thing that if we have any chance of passing this bill, we'll make it pass, and that's just the filibuster. But, John, hopefully we could get substantively the bill in, if this doesn't work, into reconciliation, as John Kennedy is suggesting. But the problem with that is it probably will water down the bill quite a bit because of how they'll, again, buck the system and go by what the parliamentarian tells them, which they're going to have the parliamentarian writing the bill instead of the legislators. So I'm really concerned about where we're at. I still think there's a hope and a chance we can get this past the finish line. But when you have a resistant leadership in John Thune, who's really not telling the truth about the process, that becomes a frustration for me.
Yeah, that's a big problem. We got about 20 seconds before our hard break, but why is he fighting it so hard? Just because he doesn't want to do the fight? He doesn't find the political capital? Why is he fighting it and resisting it?
There are a whole lot of reasons that I couldn't talk about in 20 seconds, but it's basic, the D.C. sewer and people like Lisa Murkowski, who actually was elected by Democrats, who she would be able to get reelected from if this were implemented. She literally twisted the system to get in. And there are a myriad of reasons, but some of them are anti-Donald Trump reasons. But it's just the craziness of Washington.
It's crazy. Well, let's talk some more about that when we come back, and that ties in as well with the DHS funding, the partial government shutdown we're still seeing right now with ICE, when ICE has already been funded for the next few years. Where are we at with that? We'll cover some of that and more with Jim Pfaff right around the corner for your Wednesday here for The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
That this is one of their ploys. They have a ploy that they're trying to pull off here, where their goal is to defund federal law enforcement, abolish ICE, and return to a wide open border. Now, the only way they can get to that is if they use the American people and TSA workers as pawns.
All right, so that's Senator Marsha Blackburn. She just spoke a little while ago with the ongoing long-form marathon filibuster that's happening in the Senate right now for the SAVE Act. It was funny, I turned her on yesterday. She was one of the first ones to speak yesterday. Turn it on today. Guess who's sitting there is Marsha Blackburn. So it's been fun to watch that one. Note to self, we've already funded ICE for the next few years. They already have money, so shutting down Department of Homeland Security, not really doing a whole lot when it comes to the reforms that Democrats are looking for right now. But I'm starting to see a trend, and maybe Jim is sensing the same thing right now. Jim Pfaff with the Conservative Caucus, theconservativecaucus.com. Jim, I'm noticing a common denominator. We went from Donald Trump during the State of the Union saying, stand up if you represent Americans and not illegal aliens. Not a Democrat stood. They said it was a political ploy. But at the same time, while they're blowing it off and saying it's nothing more than just a political game that Donald Trump's playing, we now have the shutting down of Department of Homeland Security because they want to essentially abolish ICE, and they're fighting against the SAVE Act that verifies that you're a U.S. citizen in order to vote. Jim, I mean, eventually there's enough evidence to pile up here for people to be like, who are Democrats really trying to represent here?
Yeah, I mean, let's just be very clear. Democrats do not represent American citizens. They represent American residing non-citizens who are non-Americans. They're not an American party. I've told you this on previous broadcasts that we've done together. The reality is the Democrat Party is seeking to overthrow the American Republic by means other than war. I mean, this is the modern Democrat civil war against the United States. The things that we have done from our founding are what made us great, and none of them are supported by Democrats. And by the way, this is the Democrat Party history. This goes all the way back to the Civil War and before. It's always been about undermining the American Republic while pretending to support it.
Yeah.
And you know, they wanted to continue slavery under the guise of states' rights, but that means that they still wanted to enslave people. Chuck Schumer on the floor today just made a speech on the SAVE Act saying they want to take all this passes, they'll take all the voter rolls and they want to remove illegal aliens. But all the evidence shows that illegal aliens don't vote. Okay, well, if that's the case, Chuck, then no harm done.
Right.
We've got the illegal aliens off the voter rolls, and they're not voting anyway. So, hey, we can go test that and make sure it's just fine. Like the reason that their arguments make no sense is because they don't want it. They don't want you to know that they make no sense. They want to get rid of ICE. They are going to do everything they can to make sure illegal aliens are taken care of above Americans in this country. It's what's happening in Europe. They're just trying to inject it as forcefully here as it's already being injected there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Jim, we got just about a minute or so as we wrap things up today, but because of the policy that's going on right now, let's talk about going into midterm election. Obviously, you focus a lot on the grassroots campaigning. We focus on trying to get Republicans elected. How is that shaping up for the year? I know we have a long ways to go still, but trying to get that organized and ready for the policy discussions to the American people, how's that shaping out right now?
Well, it's not entirely clear. So if I had to handicap things, if the election were held today, Democrats are going to take over the House and possibly the Senate because there are a lot of poll numbers that seem to indicate that. On the other side, though, there are a lot of polls that show that the Democrat Party has the lowest approval ratings in its modern history.
Yeah.
And that seems to be playing out as well. I think what the debates that are happening on Capitol Hill, even with stupid Republicans like John Thune, who are not willing to fight for what the American people want, there's no doubt that Democrats are in a negative place. But they have energy in their electorate, seemingly, going into the election. But certain things can break. If the Iran war turns out well and there's a kind of regime change that makes Iran neutral or even back into a positive light, that would be a huge boon. The economy is still growing and doing well. We just had a good jobs report today. So there are a lot of factors that could radically change things very quickly. There's a long time between now and November.
Yeah.
So we'll see what's going to happen. We're on a razor's edge, though, for Republicans.
We'll see what plays out. I just saw a poll during the break is that right now among Republicans and MAGA, 100% approval rating of Donald Trump being reported by CNN. So we have it. We just have to actually turn out to vote, and when we do, we'll win. Jim, we're out of time, brother. We got to get you back on and do it again soon.
All right, Andy. Great to be with you.
You as well. Always a pleasure. Back at it again tomorrow for your pre-Friday celebration. We'll see you on the radio. Bye.
For too long, Washington has said no to builders, workers, and American families, and yes to bureaucracy, delay, and special interests. Let's flip that. Say yes to building more housing, and no to government mandates that block it. Yes to permitting American energy, and no to endless red tape. Yes to putting patients in charge of healthcare, and no to letting insurance companies call the shots. Higher costs? No. An affordable America? Yes.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.